Hi, folks. This is Mountain Man coming to you from parts unknown. I'm sorry I had a delay there in the broadcast, but I'm trying a new situation here, and we're going to see how it works. And I didn't really realize I was live, but I know I'm live now. So, how's everybody doing tonight? We got some people coming in the chats. If you're new or if you tune in the uh, after the broadcast, just bump it ahead up a few minutes, and I want to know how I'm coming in, folks. Let me see who all's here. Nikki B, how you doing? Bubba, how you doing? Let me see. Wanda, Stacy, Melinda, Happy Days, Wild West, B Dog, Kristen Homoka. How you doing, Kristen? Since then, everybody's showing up. That's good. That's good to hear. Got a good 5x5. That's good because I'm back in front of the wood stove. And the last time I was in front of the wood stove, it didn't work out very good. I think the big hunk of metal messed up my transmission, but I got a different device that might not be so sensitive. Hi, Lone Wolf. As we all know, the Bruns0n case has been denied. I'll get into that situation here in a little bit. We've got a number of things you see in my thumbnail. I got the Biden papers, okay, and then the Tw1tter files and mass arrests in Brazil. I was not, I tell you, I know what they're going to be doing down there, and I got a little distraught last night. But and also in my title, I have that Bruns0n denied by SCOTUS. And we'll go over those things, and I want to get your all's input on them. And as I closed out last night's broadcast, we were talking about the situation down south. And I knew that a lot of people were going to be arrested. And we hear today that Bolsonaro, around lunchtime, it was reported that he had severe stomach pain and was hospitalized. Excuse me while I have a sip of my coffee. Holy cow, went down the wrong pipe. Anyway, got to be careful with that. Okay, so I said, whoa, he's hospitalized. What happened? They try to poison him or what? What are these characters doing? So I did not know, I will admit. I did not know there was an attempt on his life in 2018. If you knew that before today, put a couple of fives in the chat. If you did not know, put a couple of zeros in the chat. I want to see how many people knew that someone tried to assassinate Bolsonaro during the 2018 election. I found that out today. And it was very serious. He was stabbed in his lower abdomen, and he almost died. They said when he was brought to the hospital, he was practically dead. And they did extensive surgery on him. They did multiple surgeries. Now, how come we were never told that in the regular news? Debbie King knew it, but we've got a lot of people that didn't. I didn't know. Quilt didn't know. Sandy, Kirsten, Wanda, Georgia, Lone Wolf. So Kathy didn't know. Sharon, most people Wild West didn't know. But he was attacked by a 40-year-old radical. The crowd got a hold of him. There's a picture of him sitting on people's shoulders during the campaign. And the person was in the crowd and stabbed him in his stomach while he was sitting on everybody's shoulders being carried through the crowd. When have you ever seen anybody carried through a crowd in any political situation? So he is well loved. And you heard that Diamond, what's this, Nikki? You heard that Diamond from Diamond Silk has passed away? Oh, that's terrible. That's awful. We'll have to check into that. What happened to her? Oh goodness, I almost got a clip of them laughing at Joe Biden and slapping their knees and laughing as she did not show any signs. So that's awful. So we'll check into that and see what happened to her. Hi, Brighter Day. So anyway, this situation with Bolsonaro, at first I thought, well, maybe somebody, because I did not know of the past assassination attempt right away. And it didn't say, the reports I saw, he was just in the hospital. He was in the hospital. And then I caught that he had suffered a previous attack, and it was supposedly complications. Now, I would not put it out of the realm of possibility that he may be for added security. I don't know. But whatever it is, let's all hope that that he's looked over, watched over, and protected, because he's going to be very well needed, very much needed by the people of Brazil. So that time I hit my mute button before I got drinking my coffee, so I wouldn't, in case it went down the wrong tube. Yeah, on Telegram, Lone Wolf, we were just talking about that. Robert Kennedy was carried through the crowd. Yes, he was. That was back in the 60s, wasn't it, Georgia? So right away, a lot of the press down south, if you know what I mean, the country that starts with a B, ends in a ZIL. They were echoing the calls and blame for what happened yesterday on Bolsonaro's. And I think that may have been a security precaution. I hope it is, but then again, he may be suffering. Let's hope, however, whatever it was, he turns out all right. And I tell you, this thing about Diamond, it just shows you, as I've said in the past, our precious time, how we spend our precious time. And the thing about Diamond is late in her life, as she was not known until this revolution we're experiencing right now, this American Revolution. And she made the most of it. And she was very well thought out in her speech. She had a good friend, and still does, in Silk, where they just clicked together and they were able to connect with people and put out such a wonderful, inspiring message. And you tell me how somebody can go from anonymity to being on the right and left-hand side of the President of the United States, and to have such a following. I tell you, only in America. And but it shows you that just, it's like a flick of the switch sometimes, and we really have to think of how we spend our precious time. Now, I'm going to take this notion into the situation with the Bruns0n case. I said that, and I tell you, this is no criticism of them, about them, or, I understand why everybody was so excited about it. But in the past, as I discuss it, I always tried to temper people's expectations. And I said not to live on the edge of your seat every night. thinking that something is going to straighten us out in the snap of a finger. We didn't even have a constitution until 1789. 1776 was the revolution, 13 years. And even then, we did not have a First Amendment in the original Constitution. That came later. So things do not happen overnight. And we're not a nation like a military junta that solves our problems. And we have to admit, not everybody in the chats, not everybody, I'm not talking about anybody in the individual or any one person, but the American people, as far as their education system, their own personal knowledge about what's going on in their own local governments or their federal governments, they got too distracted. And I think that was purposeful. They were distracted by a system that was created to keep people on a mental and physical hamster wheel where you had to keep running like a hamster. And while you're doing that, the so-called elites are laughing and picking your pocket and passing laws that nobody ever knew they were capable of passing, to where you couldn't understand how the government functioned. That was purposeful. So our precious time now is going to be devoted to understanding what is how things are going in our government. And so we can take a look at this in the future and look back at it and warn future generations. And I said that what I said about diamond and silk only in America. Well, the goal of all people of goodwill, as I've said, our greatest export is the American spirit. We want the entire world to be able to experience joy and prosperity and safety. We want everybody to live under natural law, inalienable rights to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. Not just Americans, but charity begins at home. We got to start by getting our own situation straightened out. And with the Bruns0n case, I said that I very much doubted that the court, I believe it was in Red's broadcast, I said, if anyone is saying that the Supreme Court is going to make a decision that is going to decapitate, that's the term I used, the other two branches of government, I think they're entirely wrong in their expectations, not just of what the Supreme Court has the power to do, but what it is feasible to do, even if they could do it. And that's basically the remedy they were asking for. Where in the Constitution does it say that the Supreme Court can just tell Congress to pack up and leave and the president to pack up and leave? Doesn't say that anywhere near there. Oh, well, but they've turned elections around, blah, blah. That's true. But I want to remind everybody, the real posture, as I want to say so many times, of our situation is that we are a nation at WAR. We were told that numerous times by our president. We're with an unseen enemy. And as in the past, I said that we have two judicial systems. The military justice system and the civilian justice system. And in times of war, military justice system takes precedence over the civilian justice system. It has to, because as well-meaning as a 75 or 80-year-old Supreme Court justice might be, He's not running around in the battlefield. Okay, he's not the one that's got to make decisions of life and death. He's not the one putting his life on the line to defend the Constitution. Then I keep going back to Andrew Jackson. Oh, the Supreme Court, where's their army? Okay, when it gets right down to the survival of this republic, when the survival of the republic is threatened, military law takes precedence. And I'll put this banner up I've had for a while. Black letter of law, SCOTUS focus. And then I put focus. And that's going to relate to what I'm going into these twit drops. Okay? They've been delayed, and I believe it's for a reason. I believe it's so the nation would be focused on McCarthy being put in to the leadership and how much the average American has learned about how our government functions and what the defects were that precipitated this new American Revolution. Also, they were delayed until the situation in Brazil was fleshed out, and I'll get to that in a minute. Now that the nation can be somewhat focused, and I believe these disclosures from Twit are going to be, and I'm saying it that way, and you all know why, delayed as necessary as events dictate. So when things are happening that people need to see, you can't tell people, you have to show them. What were they shown? They were shown a lot of the pictures I put up last night, elderly people, regular citizens. Well, there's 1,200 of them right now, at least, locked up. They said a gymnasium. It looked like an aircraft hangar to me, but they say it's a gymnasium. And one elderly lady had a heart attack and passed away. There's very little medical assistance. And we saw what those people were doing. They were not doing that destruction. They had no weapons. They had nothing but their voices and their flags and their banners and their prayers. So with the Bruns0n case, I'm going to reiterate that even if the Supreme Court had the power in the black letter of law that the case by the Bruns0ns was factual and correct. The fact is that if we're in a state of armed conflict and a decision such as they were hoping for would create civil unrest and human suffering, and not just for America. America goes into chaos and turmoil, gives the baddies the excuses they need to do like this person in the southern country, Lula, that's his name. That's even something that gets you in trouble, to say Lula, speak that word. But give them the excuse they need. So even if the Supreme Court could have done it, I feel that it would have been outside the boundaries of what a combat commander or a group of combat commanders would agree to, because they know what would happen. And I mentioned in the past that MacArthur disobeyed Harry Truman one time before he was actually relieved of his command. And that was when he was told to execute Emperor Hirohito, and he declined to do it because of all the upheaval it would have caused in Japan. And Harry Truman could not take disciplinary action against MacArthur because he was correct. And it would have caused more human suffering than was necessary. So if you look at it from that perspective, yeah, the Supreme Court might have had every right to do it, but not at a time of war, not when so many parts of our civilian government, and even I say parts of our military government are captured, okay? Either unable or unwilling to enforce the Constitution. So who's trolling? It's keeping a stable society, this Bruns0n thing, but I feel the reason they took it, the reason they took the case, the reason they expedited it and created so much chatter about it is that millions of people have read about what's going on and taken an interest, okay? And see that there's merit to the argument. Now the question is, we can find out what the vote was, if there was a tallied vote with the Supreme Court, and if there was any written opinion, or if it was denied out of hand. We'll find out more about that in the future, but that's what I'm saying about the Bruns0n case, and it's not a criticism of anybody that was looking forward to what could happen, or angry because something didn't happen. Well, there's so much happening, and we're putting such a squeeze on the puppet masters, the deep state. Hey, it can't be done in such a rushing and brash way so as to cause conflict. And this thing with McCarthy, I said it the other night, it's going to change how Congress operates and is able to operate for generations. It's like Joe Biden said one time, it's a big effing deal, okay? Because what's happened, especially since the 1970s, after the Kennedy operation, what did McCain call it? The Kennedy intervention? McCain McStain actually used those words. Kennedy intervention. What they've done, the Uniparty has, through parliamentary means and working together, that's the only time they really crossed the aisle, was to get this uniparty agenda entrenched in our government, where a Mr. Smith goes to Washington or whatever doesn't stand a snowball's chance in hell. And they solidified their power. They twisted our legislative process to make it impervious to anybody who came in wanting to restore the republic. And when something like that happens via infiltration and foreign influence, that is when you get the green light for the military to be involved with influence operations that we discussed in the past, and I believe in the future kinetic operations, when it gets to the point where we've done as much as we can to make a move and reduce human suffering, the chances of human suffering. So anyway, so don't be too disappointed about the Bruns0n case, because they said they had a plan for what they're going to do if they got turned down. They're not going to go away. People are learning more about it. And let me see what anybody's got to say in the comments. Now, I haven't heard anything about GOOGLE being bought by Musk, which was mentioned in the chats. Mr. A, let's get man over 1,000. That's right, Mr. A. Welcome aboard. So, Patriot Starfighter, how are you doing? I'm just seeing what's in the chats. Hi, Squirrely. Squirrely said, anyone else tired of all this BS? Well, I tell you what, even with families, close families, there's always some kind of BS going on. There's no paradise. There's always going to be a struggle between good and evil. And, you know, paradise will come when the big man wants it to come. So there's going to be, we're making progress, Squirrely. We're making progress big time. But there isn't going to be the stroke of an ink pen clean out all the bad actors, all the evil people, especially since we're on an international stage. So I hope you all do hit the like button. And if you're not subscribed, you do subscribe so you can come in and go through the chats and make a friend. Now, or a number of friends. Anyway, so I guess you all have heard my plumber intel told me, and I did some follow-up about what's happening with Joe Biden and his papers. And Mr. T made a post wondering, when is the FBI going to raid his many homes or even the White House? And so if for those of you that haven't heard, CNN of all things made it a headline, made it one of their lead stories, that classified documents were found by attorneys going through papers at Biden's private office in D.C., not a government office. And very little is known about what kind of security these things were under. Trump's papers were under the purview of the Secret Service. And one of the most sophisticated and able private security systems in the world. I wonder what Creepy Joe had. You see, let me see what's going on. Sir. Okay, I see. Jerome Adams, Mr. A says. That was Mr. T's. Man, I'll have to check that out. Hi, Susie. So anyway, they found these papers at Biden's private office, and I'm wondering, are they going to stop there? If they found it at that private office, what about Delaware? And is anything what they said about Mr. T, anything nuclear? And it is funny, not really funny, but odd, that at the same time this is happening with these classified documents, where now I'm bringing up Delaware because Biden's there 30% of his time. They say he may have a skiff there trying to keep things out of the public purview and out of reach of FOIA requests. But it also may be to communicate with a puppet master or with a foreign power. So are they going to raid Delaware and check out what's going on there? Beginning of the raids, I hope so. Let's see. So many. Well, I tell you, I'm extremely happy with the progress we've made, and we also know that these people that are the focus of the American people and the justice system that is operating properly, they're in big trouble. They cannot lose because they have no good ending. if they get caught. And they're getting closer and closer to getting caught, and they're going to get more and more desperate. We don't know what kind of backup plans they have, what kind of international problems they could cause, what kind of domestic problems they could cause with something a dirty BOMB. So, I'm going to say it. Well, no, I'm not. I'm just going to say people need to remember what the 17th letter said. People who want things to happen immediately and expect things to happen overnight do not need to be part of this conversation. That's not from me. That's from number 17. Okay? That it was going to be drawn out. And I said earlier in the broadcast, 1776, we said, hey, we're independent. And it took 13 years to write just the body of the Constitution. Then we had to go and get our Bill of Rights after the Constitution. 13 years. Trump went down the golden escalator. Okay, how long ago? So we're going through and we're making great progress. Great progress. The fact that we're getting control of our own House of Representatives. Okay. So, and the people in the south of us are, if they can get out of this somehow, if they can get rescued or make a change themselves by going on a general strike, they need to be looking at how their legislative body works. How to prevent this from happening again on their end too. Now, I did mention that Chile had threatened to invade prior to the handover of power. And turns out, not only them, but Argentina has offered troops. Okay, did you hear that? Chile's offered troops. Argentina's offered troops. Venezuela and Mexico have offered troops. Venezuela, after I told you all that a report came out that Joe Biden told the Venezuelan president he no longer considered him to be president, they did an about face and started supporting this bunch in Brazil. Okay. So that's a big deal. The army in that country is looking at least 4 other countries sending troops in. And as far as I know, the reports are that if the protesters are on army property, they're not to be touched. And I saw some footage where the police were on one side of the road and the army was on the other side of the road. And they were not letting them get to the protesters. I don't know how long that's going to last, but there's an admiral that had said, I had a picture of him. I can't put up pictures in this scenario, but this head of the naval forces, the top admiral, said he would not recognize the new person, the communists, and from what I understand, he is still in power and he is still refusing to recognize the government. And the people that are on property of the army are protected, but the ones that fall in the grip of the local police forces or the state law enforcement, they're being arrested by at least 1,200 in that one location. Nobody's got any footage of anybody actually destroying things except that one clip I told you I had. I've got that again, and I'll put it up in another broadcast. I'll try to sneak it in. It's very brief, but it's the only time you see somebody breaking stuff up. and it ain't the little old ladies waving flags. Wild West is going to get 42 million. All right. Don't forget who your friends are. Ha ha. I'm just seeing what's going on in the chats. So hopefully the troops will stay tough. And I'm just thinking the thing with Bolsonaro may have been, well, this thing with the Biden papers, it all ties together because this classified news drop from CNN of all sources comes at the same time. Lavrov, remember his name? I've talked about it in the past, showed short clips of him. He's pretty much the ambassador to Russia. He's like a top dog there at the UN. He said that they have proof that the United States was involved in a plot to get rid of Mr. Putin. And I can't say the word, but it's the same thing they did to Kennedy. Okay? They have proof of that. And they also have been going to the UN with proof of the pharmaceutical research centers. That ties into the Tw1tter drops, okay? That is where they knowingly, they had a top executive contact Tw1tter and take down reports that were factual solely because they felt it would affect the sales. They had the ability to reach into that company and have people's reports, people's statements, people taken down from social media. And the information they had would have helped people make the right decision about what they wanted to do with their own bodies. Okay? That's what came out today. And then also at the same time, you have Elon Musk is facing a class action lawsuit. And he's trying to change the venue from California to any damn where. Because you think he's going to get treated fairly in California? But at the same time he did that, reports have come out that in that country, the biggest country in Latin America, Brazil, he closed down their offices and fired everybody, all the staff at the Brazil Tw1tter. They're all gone. So this is getting into hardball. What they call hardball. So that company, that pharmaceutical company, is going to be facing, never mind what Elon Musk is looking at for class action lawsuits. But that company, along with other companies that get exposed, are going to be looking at losses I don't believe they can recover from. So Mr. T, he's like a conductor of an orchestra. He's put his 2 cents in on everything but what is happening in down south. Everything but what's happening down south. There is a picture that came out where him and Bolsonaro were eating, I guess, dinner together. But there has been very low-key things going on with that. But everything else, Trump is putting his 2 cents in on. When he discussed Adam Schiff, he used the word tater, and with an R in it, I can say that right, tater, but you got to stick an R in there. So he came out and said Adam Schiff was a tater. Okay? No sugarcoating it, and said he should pay a price. Called him a criminal. And there was another congressman, I don't have the information in front of me, who came out about General Milley and said he was a tater too. So we got two big taters we're going to have to deal with. And like I say, Trump is a conductor, and he's got his own platform where he can say these things. I just have to be careful when I discuss what he's saying. You have Swalwell. McCarthy came out and said, look, Swalwell would not, as a private citizen, he would not get any kind of clearance as a private citizen. No way. So he's got no business being on the Intelligence Committee, and he's not going to be on the Intelligence Committee. So McCarthy's coming out swinging. And you put that into context with Mitch McConnell, who Trump has been pointing out. Now, Swalwell dated a Chinese spy. It may very well be that in the Senate, McConnell married a Chinese spy. Okay? Chow Chow and Fang Fang. Her family's very wealthy and from China in the shipping business. Probably knew Sam Walton on a first name basis. Now, this stuff is all coming out, and when you put on top of that Dianne Feinstein with her driver for 20 years, who was a Chinese spy, and she was doing videos and interviews with her cooperating cities program, San Francisco, and as she would say, Shanghai. She was very proud of her ability. Instead of saying Shanghai, she said Shanghai, like she knew how to speak Mandarin or something like that. So anyway, you got a number of people in Congress with direct and undeniable ties to the CCP. And I just in a couple of minutes mentioned how many of them. You got McConnell, Feinstein, Adam Schiff, and Swalwell. Taters. They're all taters. Let's see. Let me see what's going on in the chats. What are we going to do with all these taters? Well, we got to do it where people understand why what is happening is happening. That's right. Jab Neil 7. How you doing? Nice to meet you. God is exposing evil. Hi, Angela. Yeah, that's a good one to bring up. It's a rock and it's black. Okay, but you switch it around. Even that, I can't talk about that. You know why? Because that's one of the largest corporations in the entire earth. And they're sucking up properties like wetvacs. But if you will remember, hi, John. If you will remember, what's his name in New York? Oh, shoot. What's the mayor's name in New York? I forget. He's a communist. He was dancing with his wife out on Times Square when everybody else was locked down. He said his goal was to cause property prices, rental property prices, to be so depressed. He said this, that he was pushing for people not to be able to not have to pay their landlords. All this kind of stuff was to depress the values so much that a company like that, Rock That Is Black, can come in and buy them all up. He thought that was a good thing. So you see who's on the TAKE, right? I don't see anybody putting in names. Dad, Blasio. That's right, Mr. A. So anyway, yeah, Mayor de Blasio, he said that he wanted to destroy the property values so badly that it would be easier for the Rock That Is Black to buy them. He said it. So anyway, I tell you, somebody was playing a clip about Marjorie Taylor Greene, and I can't remember the guy's name, but when she was handing the phone to a congressman that reportedly got mad at her, Mr. Trump was on the phone, and this was on the floor of the House. Name wasn't Armstrong or something like that, a Republican young guy. Hold on a second, get a sip of my coffee. Oh, by the way, I got a link to buy me a coffee if you want to support the channel. I appreciate everybody who supported the channel. Up until this point, it's a big help. Everybody's on the screen there: Aaron, Robin, Kirsten, Wanda, Jeffrey, Wanda, Sandy, Norman, Dory, Pamela, Nikki B, Killer Fuzz, somebody one, somebody two. But anyway, Marjorie Taylor Greene was trying to give the phone to this young character who got his rear end up, as I usually say a different word. He got his rear end up on his shoulders, all mad because Trump was wanting them to put this thing with McCarthy to bed, and had the gall and the nerve not to take the phone from Marjorie Taylor Greene and show respect to Donald Trump. And whoever that, I'll look his name up. I just can't think of it right now. He better understand one thing. He wouldn't be where he is right now if it wasn't for Donald J. Trump. And this Congress wouldn't be where it is right now. So I understand people being frustrated, and I understand this and I understand that. But I don't understand anybody, and I'm never going to understand or excuse them being disrespectful like that because they can't see past their noses and they have no appreciation for the fact that if it wasn't for Trump, what would have happened if Hillary had won? And nobody can tell me that if it wasn't for Donald J. Trump, we would have had Hillary. We would be in the second term of Hillary Rodham Clinton. And talk about nobody would ever coin the term fake news. You talk about discord between families and nobody being able to get the word out. No, you couldn't go on and tweet about anything because they still have a stranglehold. You get kicked out of your job if you didn't have that thing happen to you in your arm. Can you imagine what this country would have been like? How close we came? So, yeah, I'm not too happy with that young man, but at least he's fighting on the right side. But you can't be stabbing each other in the back over it, or and the piss and moan crowd. There's two crowds I'm getting fed up with: the ones that won't wake up, and the ones that keep demanding something happen right now. The piss and moan crowd want to see something now, and then the ones that don't think there's anything wrong. Those are two crowds I've had about a belly full, both of them. They can't see the hard work that's been put in. The hard work. Don't you think there are people in our armed services that know what's going on and would love to do mass arrests, would love to have tribunals, but you can't do it right now. To have to sit there and listen to all that belly aching. And Americans are talking about how they're suffering with the 60-inch flat screen TVs, 3 cars, okay? Most everybody's got a guaranteed paycheck, but they're suffering. Go live in Brazil, with barefoot with your toes sticking out and happy as a bird if you had freedom. Then they're not even having that. They're losing that. So anyway, I don't want to be too rough on either group. But a lot of it's, just unnecessary noise. and it's starting to get on everybody's nerve. But I'll put this Twitter one up. But we're peeling the onion. We're finding out about these people that have no daggone business picking and choosing who gets kicked off social media sites. Okay, a big pharma executive picking up the phone or sending an email and having a private citizen's social media taken down because they don't want to lose sales. Worse yet, parents making a decision about their child because they weren't able to see both sides of the pancake because of some executive. There's got to be a price to pay for that. Wouldn't you say? And it doesn't all have to be the ultimate price. Some people it will be the ultimate price. That's right, Angela. Military separation papers. That's right, Mike. Miracles all around them. Kate says, how many have died and are dying? Are you talking about down south, Kate? Wait, let me see. Yeah, I mean, got to pick the path of least human suffering and social unrest and things happening, dramatic things happening when this people at large don't understand why is going to cause human suffering. The military cannot control an entire population of 380 million people. So if the people are in consent with what's going on, if people understand what is going on and are peaceable, that is going to cause a lot more success than having people at odds. Well, her plans were, they weren't good. I can tell you that. We wouldn't be nearly in the spot we're in right now if she had won. If the 16-year plan had gone through. Kate, use 4s instead of A's on a keyword like that, okay? That's a government program that runs this platform we're on, and GOOGLE, right? So anyway, these new guidelines I was talking about last night on this platform, the one Y and then the other's tube. I tell you, they started them a few weeks ago, or maybe, I don't even think a month ago. They are so strict with showing what they consider to be graphic that some of these creators that play video games, a video game that isn't even, it's just like Call of Duty or Fortnite, things like that, they get demonetized or taken down. And hey, for years people have been doing this stuff, and it's a cartoon. It's not even real. And so anyway, if I put up, I've seen where people have put up pictures with the GUN in somebody's hand has a dot over it so you can't even see what's in their hand because the machine will take it down. And I'm thinking to myself, the only reason I'm bringing this up is to make it easier to take down coverage of what's happening down south in case things do go crazy. In case the police or the military get a heavy hand with the people, there's going to be a lot of footage that could be called graphic. And that's a way to prevent it from getting around for other people to see, is to make it more stringent to show stuff like this. So I just had that in my mind that it was put in place to make things a little rough for anybody trying to show what's happening. But I was going to say anything about Marjorie Taylor Greene. A lot of people said, well, she's a turncoat because she gave in, she did this. So I'm like, what in the world are they talking about Marjorie Taylor Greene like that for? Turns out she was being interviewed, and the interviewer said, don't you think Joe Biden is a legitimate president? And she said, oh, of course he's president. Don't act silly. La. She was denying 17-letter anon. And she said, oh, of course Joe Biden's president. And people were saying, well, she's a traitor, and I knew she was deep state. Now, I mean, wait a minute. The interviewer said legitimate. And when she repeated what she was saying, she left that word out. Okay? And people got to understand, if a politician like Marjorie Taylor Greene does not say something exactly the way somebody sitting at home watching TV thinks they should, does not mean Marjorie Taylor Greene is a deep state or a traitor. Calm down and think about it before people throw that kind of crap out there. The guy said, and I may replay it myself when I do a video where I can play videos. He said, do you think Joe Biden is a legitimate president of the United States? She said, oh, come on. You're bringing that up. Everybody knows Joe Biden's the president of the United States. She left out the word legitimate. Okay. And anybody paying attention with 2 ounces of brain cells would say, aha. But no, the ones that are wanting to run around and grab people up, call everybody that disagrees with them a traitor. They start saying she's a black hat and all this kind of stuff. It reminds me of that congressman I was just talking about that had the gall not to take the phone with President Trump on the other end of it. Those kind of attitudes are people I'm getting sick of, not only just the ones that won't wake up, okay? The ones that won't take the red pill. I'm mad at the ones that want to shove cinder blocks down people's throats. Okay? Let's see. Chats have gone by. Yeah, we should be, Jared. We should be critical of any and all of them, but by their deeds, so shall they be known. She was with Trump all the way. And the changes that were made to the House rules and the limiting power of the Speaker of the House is historic. All right, folks, and I'll get into that a little bit more because I'm going to make a note about that, but I'm going to bring a little bit more about that, how McCarthy got in, what was very curious. We'll talk about that in a future broadcast, but I appreciate everybody being with me tonight. I want to get in under an hour. Please like, share, and subscribe so you know when I go live. And I appreciate you spending your precious time with me. This is Mountain Man, over and out.